the word slave. Say it in English, slave. In Spanish, esclavo. In French, esclave. In German, sklave. Every version comes from the same root, Slav. In the early Middle Ages, Slavic people were enslaved in such enormous numbers across Europe and the Mediterranean that their ethnic name became the word for human property. Slav became slave. A people became a product. By the 15th century, the slave trade was the engine of the Mediterranean economy. Every major power participated: Venice, Genoa, the Ottoman Empire, the Papal States. Buying, selling, and shipping human beings was as normal as trading silk or spice. No one questioned it, except one city. A Slavic city, a city whose people carried the very name that the world had turned into a word for chains. The Mediterranean was a slave economy. This was not the Atlantic slave trade. That horror was still a century away. This was older, more complex, and it went in every direction. Christians enslaved Muslims. Muslims enslaved Christians, both enslaved Africans. And everyone enslaved Slavs. The markets of Constantinople sold Circassian women to Ottoman households. The docks of Genoa processed thousands of Eastern European captives every year. Venice needed bodies for its war galleys, 150 men chained to oars on every ship, rowing until they died. Between the 12th and 15th centuries, an estimated 2 to 3 million people were bought and sold across the Mediterranean. 2 to 3 million. They were not called slaves yet. In Latin, the word was servus, but as more and more Slavic people filled the markets, a new word appeared. Sklavus. Slav. Slave. The word changed. The meaning became permanent. But the story most people know, the story of slavery, starts later, and somewhere else. We know this story. We've seen the films, we've read the books. But we don't know what happened in 1416. Because in 1416, on the coast of the Adriatic Sea, in a stone chamber smaller than a modern classroom, a group of men voted to do something that no government on earth had done before. The Republic of Ragusa was a trading power. Its ships sailed from the Adriatic to Constantinople, Alexandria, Tunis, Beirut. They carried silk, salt, wax, silver, leather, and coral. But some of those ships also carried people, not passengers, cargo. Ragusan merchants, like merchants from every Mediterranean trading city, were involved in the slave trade. Not as the largest players, Venice and Genoa dominated, but they participated. Ragusan ships transported enslaved people. Ragusan merchants brokered deals, and the Senate knew it. This is important. Ragusa didn't abolish slavery from a position of innocence. They abolished it from a position of complicity. They weren't outsiders pointing fingers. They were insiders who looked at what they were doing and decided to stop. That makes the decision harder. The Minor Council and the Senate of the Republic of Ragusa convened. The agenda includes a proposal unlike anything debated in any European government before. A prohibition, total. Absolute. The buying of human beings prohibited. The selling of human beings prohibited. The owning of human beings prohibited. The transport of human beings on Ragusan ships prohibited. The language of the decree is remarkable. It does not frame this as a trade regulation. It does not argue economics or logistics. It calls the slave trade a disgrace. On a winter afternoon, in a chamber overlooking the Adriatic Sea, a city of 30,000 people does what no empire, no kingdom, no pope has done. They say, people are not cargo. The year is 1416. The world will need 400 more years and millions more lives to arrive at the same conclusion. What happened after 1416? Nothing. The world continued exactly as before. Venice kept chaining men to oars. Genoa kept filling ships with human cargo. The Ottoman Empire kept its slave markets open in Constantinople, in Cairo, in Algiers. And then, starting in the 1440s, something worse began. Portugal opened the Atlantic route. The scale of human trafficking expanded beyond anything the Mediterranean had ever seen. By the 1700s, the Atlantic slave trade was the most profitable enterprise on earth. Empires were built on it, cities were built on it. Their wealth came from human bodies. And for 400 years, while millions of people were bought, sold, worked to death, a document sat in a stone archive in a small city on the Adriatic coast. A document that said, "This is wrong." No one read it, no one cited it, no one even knew it existed. It just sat there, being right, silently, for 400 years. In 1807, the British Empire abolished the slave trade. In 1833, Britain abolished slavery itself. In 1865, the 13th Amendment freed 4 million enslaved Americans. Abraham Lincoln became a legend. In 1888, Brazil became the last Western nation to abolish slavery. The princess who signed the decree was called the Redeemer. Heroes, legends, redeemers. But in 1416, 449 years before Lincoln, a group of men decided that people are not property. No one called them heroes. No one built them statues. No textbook mentions them. Because the Republic of Ragusa no longer exists. It became Dubrovnik, a tourist destination. A Game of Thrones filming location. A place where people take selfies on ancient walls without knowing what was decided inside them. When a country disappears, its stories become no one's stories. This was their story. On the walls of their city, they carved one word: libertas. Freedom. They meant it.